to another episode of Jordans&Jazz. I'm your host, Juan Williams. And again, for those of you that don't know me or are new to my show, which probably most of you are, I'm a musician and I teach piano and guitar lessons, mainly with the focus on jazz, funk, hip hop, and R&B. I do teach some contemporary styles, also classical, some classical. So that's kind of my introduction to music. I also worked at an athletic shoe store, and that was the start of my. That was really the start of my sneaker collection. That's where it begins. I mean, of course, I've always had a love of shoes, but working at a shoe store, of course, you can imagine, that I'm going to be able to. That's really where I was able to really start my sneaker collection. So, if you are a fan of music and a sneakerhead, again, you're in the right place. I want to remind you, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit the bell, make sure, hit the bell for any notifications. Also go to my Patreon page. That's where I started the Jordans&Jazz Jordans&Jazz lesson series, and I got some practice tips and lessons in there. So make sure you go to the Patreon and check out the Jordans&Jazz lesson series. And if you're just picking up an instrument, for the first time, or you're looking for maybe a different insight on music, or go ahead and check that out. I'm making sure that I'm putting up videos again with my with lessons, my tips, my practice tips. Go in there, check it out. Also, that's a great way to also support my show. So today's show, I would like to talk about the kind of the feud going on between Kanye West and Drake. So of course that's been going around. Both of them, kind of dropped albums. It kind of, it wasn't a surprise that they dropped an album, but it was a little bit unexpected, and there's some things going back and forth between the two. So that's going to be today's show. Again, before I get into today's topic, I would like to share my kicks of the day and the album of the week. And my kicks of the day today are the Jordan 1 Pantene. That's the kicks of the day. I really like the earth tone colors again, right? So that just that shoe. It's fall, fall is coming up, and so it's a nice shoe for the fall. Definitely, one of my, right now it was a new pickup for me. And it's beginning to be one of my favorites. So go ahead and share your kicks of the day down below in the comments, or if you would like to share your kicks of the day with me on Instagram or Twitter, share them, at Jordans&Jazz, tag Jordans&Jazz, hashtag Jordans&Jazz. And I wanted to, and then the next up is my album of the week, and it is "Get Busy One Time" by Full Force. So this album that's my album of the week. I picked this one as my album of the week because if you look at the song titles, they remind. I mean, if you were to just look at the song titles and you didn't know, like, hey, this is a Full Force album, and you just thought, you would think that it was a Drake album. That's it's like it's gonna be next Drake's album, right? You got titles called Temporary Love Thing, right? That just sounds like a Drake song title to me. So that's why I picked up that's why I picked that as my album of the week. Also, Unfaithful. I mean, it just sounds like a track on a Drake album. So let's get into the topic. And did Yeezy jump over Jumpman? Hey, what's going on with that? So with the Kanye and Drake, they have been in competition, over music, over sneakers, right? Hey, it's like I had to talk about this. I had to talk about kind of what's going on with Kanye and Drake, because they've been in there's sneakers and there's music, so I had to talk about it. But I'm just gonna stick to just the music and the sneakers. So again, it's no secret that that they've been in competition, especially over music, and Kanye sees Drake, being the most streamed artist in the last decade, right? And I think, and Kanye has always had this thing about, he's always had this thing about having to prove himself. I mean, what was it? It was Kanye and 50 Cent were dropping an album, and I can't remember, I think it was like the BET Awards, and they did the stare off, about who was gonna have the number one album. So I think, Kanye has always had to, really go up against, the hot artist at the time. I mean, even though Kanye, his run has been there, and it's stood the test of time, but he knows that he's going up against Drake. And I did a show about streaming and some of those things. So go and check out that video that I did talking about streaming and the numbers that Drake has been putting up. So I did mention some of those things that that happened. And so Kanye recently dropped his album titled after his late mother, Dondra. And what I want to talk about is what I think Kanye did that was brilliant about this latest release. And in my previous show, I talked about how the albums, you drop an album or you create an album, and you have a tour cycle revolved around 2 or 3 albums, right? So you drop the album, you get people excited about your music. They're like, oh, this is a great album by this artist, and then you go on tour. Well, Kanye kind of did it differently. Okay, what he did was he used the anticipation of the release of his album, Dondra, to pack venues, right? And we're talking about, I think Mercedes-Benz arena or stadium in Atlanta. He had a couple listening parties there. Got a lot of people in there. I think he did one in Chicago, and he might have did something somewhere else, but he's getting people. He hasn't released any music, or he hasn't released the album. People are going, and he's just having listening parties, and people are buying tickets. Normally, it's the other way around. Normally, what you're going to do is you're going to put out the album. You're going to let the album create some buzz, and you're going to go on tour, right? And you're going to try to recoup the money that you spent on the album. Well, it's been reported that just merchandise sales alone of those listening parties, concerts, listening parties, whatever you want to call it, this was after maybe, maybe since the beginning of August is when he started doing those listening parties, concerts, and, having other artists show up, that were maybe, I think featured on the album. He had guests come up too. So of course, they're making money off of it, but just merchandise sales looks like they've reached about $7 million. And well, that was probably like, a week and a half ago. So I'm pretty sure that, maybe merchandise sales maybe have reached maybe $10 million. Well, how much do you think that it cost to to make that album? So just on merchandise sales alone, normally, right, like you're gonna go on concert, you're gonna go on tour, and you're gonna go through a whole, basically an album cycle, right, of touring to get that, maybe $7 million, $10 million. Well, he did it really before the album even dropped. He was able to get, and and we're talking about merchandising, and we're thinking about these 360 deals. I did want to touch on, I wanted to talk about 360 deals, and I'll be talking about that, and in a later show. I mean, it's a lot to cover with 360 deals, so I did want to talk about that maybe in a later show. But I did talk about streaming. So let's go in. And with the so like I said, so that's what I think what he did was brilliant. Is he so with his 10th studio album, he also created some chaos around the album to to create the buzz, right? And he used that as leverage in his favor to kind of circumvent some of the strategies that are pretty much put in place. You do this and this, and this is your outcome, right? And he kind of circumvented that those steps of the current music market. Now with with streaming, the fans, you get to listen to your favorites artists for pennies, and artists have little to no control over the money generated by streaming. So what Kanye did was it says, hey, I know that I'm gonna get all these streams, but I'm not really gonna get real money from it, right? And I'm not gonna and I'm not gonna be able to see that money right away, just from streaming. So I want to make sure that I generate dollars differently. And like I said, he used his leverage to get that money up front, especially with the sales of merchandise. So I want to just say, with that I think that was a brilliant move with him. I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of Kanye's early music. Some of his latest stuff, I think his sound changed a little bit, and I think he's making his music for a different type of fan, and I mean, and that's his choice. I think that but like I said, I think that I think he as an artist, he has a right to do he has a right to make the music that he feels that he needs to make. But I'm not really, I wasn't really like, oh, I'm waiting for this album. But as you can see, people were waiting for his album. And so then you ask, it's like, well, what does that have to do with Drake? Well, right, like why did Drake, then come out, a week later, like after that album drop, he says, hey, I'm dropping my album, Certified Lover Boy, right? CLB. Why did Drake come out and drop his album? Was it because they had beef? Was it because was it because the leaked or the leaked diss track that Andre 3000 was on? He said, nah, I gotta go and I gotta drop my album too. Was it because of that? Nah, that's not what it was. What happened is that there have been so the top 3 albums, right? The top 3 first day album debut streams right? It's really all about being number one. You can diss me in a song, right? But I need the numbers to speak for me. And so let's talk about what are the top 3 first day album debut streams. Number 1, Drake Scorpion. Drake Scorpion is the number 1 most streamed album. What's number 2? Kanye's Dondra. That's number 2. But in the back of the mind, Drake is like, nah, you dissed me in the song, you didn't release it, and you had Andre 3000 on the track, right? Andre's like, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with this. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a diss track. I didn't know. He was like, nah, I ain't got nothing. You see, if you seen his statement, he was like, I ain't got nothing to do with this. So, so number 2 is Kanye West, and somebody else that has a little history with Kanye, Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift's Folklore is the 3rd highest streamed album first day streams. Well, Drake said, I can't have any of that. Drake said, I need the top 2 spots. And he's sure that he got the top 2 spots now. So the release of Certified Lover Boy took the number 1 spot. So this is all about streams to say, hey, I'm number 1. You're gonna diss me on a record? Yeah, okay. Check this out. I'm the person who's popping out here. My shit's popping. Kanye, you can say whatever you want. I mean, first of all, you had your boy come at me, and I had to take that one on the chin. Pusha T, you're right. Pusha T, basically, lumped him up a little bit, right? And Drake was a little salty. He was a little upset, but he out here like, nah, this is not what's up. I gotta come for this number 1 spot. Actually, I gotta come for the number 2 spots. I'm taking 1 and 2, right? And that's what it's all about. Now they've been in competition, with sneakers too, right? Like Drake has his contract with Nike, Jordan, and of course, Yeezy. I mean, the Yeezys with Adidas that pushed Kanye, into the billionaire status, right? And so that's the main thing. That's really what I think. That's really what prompted a lot of this stuff is they wanted to promote. Actually, so the person who leaked the Drake diss was Drake. He released it. He's the one who leaked the track, right? It was all about creating controversy because he wanted that number 1 spot. He leaked it to say, "Hey, go listen to my album. Do I have a Kanye?" And he did come for Kanye. I can't remember what song it, but yeah, he was coming for it. He's coming for Kanye in that track. So but this is all about, right? This is all about being at the number 1 spot. And Drake has been there for a whole decade, right? And which is a very long run. So that's that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Tell me what you think about this Kanye and Drake music and sneakers competition in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? Hit the like button, hit the bell. Also support me on Patreon, and look out for the Jordans&Jazz lesson series. Also, follow me on IG and Twitter at Jordans&Jazz. Remember, so make sure you go and share your kicks of the day. Share what you're listening to. And so I want to thank you again for checking out my show. And just remember, keep your kicks fresh and your groove tight. Peace.